Up in the top left-hand corner of Wales, where either the engine is still running, is a limited service to this day. The Welsh slate quarriers, some Welsh slate quarriers were quarrying their slate in the Welsh slate quarry, as Welsh slate quarriers are often wont to do. Well, in fact, they didn't want to do it as such, but it was how they earned their living, and hard work it was too in the heat of the sun. And there they were, quarrying. They were quarrying. Oh yeah, excuse me. Yes. Do you mind not quarrying your slate? I'm trying to do some narration. Oh yes. Oh sorry, but yeah, I'll carry on. Oh. And there they were, quarrying their slate, being watched from afar on high by the owner of the slate quarry, the local rich man. And as they worked, a slither of dust flew up from where they were working and flew round and round the quarry, getting higher and higher, until he had the temerity to land on the well-tailored boot of the rich man. Oh, look at terrible filth everywhere. Oh, I have to go home and change. So off he rode, and as he rode, the slate quarryman looked up and thought, it must be good to be rich, mustn't it? I wish I was the rich man. And like that, he became the rich man, as if by magic. And he rode off on his black charger, which would probably become white. Oh, there it is, yes. Across his great estate, the vast area of his estate, and we rode back to his humble little home. Just his humble little home, just his Monday to Friday place. Not like his big, fancy apartment home up in the smoke, just a little place. And during the course of the afternoon, he looked out from the viewing platform at his huge estate and thought, it's good to be rich, isn't it? Good to be rich. And then he noticed, to his surprise, the royal party falling towards his head. Riding along the road past this estate. And there was the Prince of Wales and his beautiful lady, his lady, and in a blue cerise two-piece evening wear he was wearing, and there were the flunkies flunking along. How pleasant it looked on a sunny afternoon. And the rich man thought, it's good to be rich, but if I was the Prince of Wales, I'd be the prince of an entire... I'd have my domain over the entire country. I wish I was the prince. And like that, he became the prince. The Prince of Wales in his carriage on a beautiful, warm, sunny afternoon. Well, in fact, if anything, it was just a little bit too hot, perhaps. Just a little bit too hot. And his lady started to sweat, and the horses began to perspire, and a bead of sweat made a beautiful beauty spot, which is on her nose, which is an unusual place for a beauty spot. And it slipped down onto her chin and down onto her bottom, onto the bottom of it disappeared in the bottom of the carriage. And the prince said, it's too hot, too hot. If I was the sun, I wouldn't be too hot. I'd be just right. I'd be shining down on the whole world. Now there's power. I wish I was the sun, and like that, he became the sun, shining down. Shiny, shiny, shine, shine. Shiny, shimmery, shimmery, shine. There's me. No, he's not a very deep thinker, the sun. Shiny, shiny, shimmery, shine. I'm hot stuff, me. God, I'm hot stuff. In fact, I'm possibly, if anything, I'm a little bit too hot, and I can't undo the top button of my tunic and wave my hand. I haven't got a hand or a tunic. Oh! And he looked down. He saw the burbling brook in the valley far below him, the cool, clear water of the burbling brook. And the sun thought, I wish I was the cool, clear water in that burbling brook. And like that, he became the cold water in the brook. And the burbling brook burbled on. Burbled the brook. And again, quite a shallow thinker, the brook. And it flowed down the River Wye, past Neil's house in Chepstow there, and out into the River Severn, and out into the Bristol Channel, into the Irish Sea, and out into the Atlantic. Is that being too Pacific? Or perhaps it's not Pacific enough? and the water out in the ocean, under the hot sun, got evaporated and rose up into the air, and at a certain point in the atmosphere it de-evaporated into a cloud and was blown by the wind back over the land. And the water, the burbling water in the cloud thought, I've had enough of this, I don't like being water. I don't like being water, I'll translate for him. I don't like being water, the mercy of the gravity and the sun and the wind. And I don't like being water because fish do all their business in it. I wish I was like the wind, blowing hither and yon, hither and thither and yon, wherever they are. And like that, the water became the wind, blowing hither and thither and yon, back across the Welsh landscape, and higher and higher up the Welsh hills, until eventually it became so high you couldn't tell which was cloud and which was Welsh sheep. Well, woolly Welsh sheep. And the wind blew further and further up the Welsh mountains, flying in the face of the harsh Welsh mountains. And eventually the wind thought, this is hard work, hard work. I'm fed up being the wind. I wish I was like those mountains, all proud and sturdy and never changing and butch. And like that, the wind became the mountains, all steady and stern and never changing and butch. And eventually one of the mountains began to feel something. It takes a long time for a mountain to feel things. But eventually it felt there was something going on down by its ankle. As you know, all mountains have feet. And it looked down over yawns. It drew its attention down to its feet. And then it saw an army of Welsh slate quarriers quarrying their slate. And it thought, look at them working, how dynamic and forceful they are. I wish I was a Welsh slate quarrier quarrying their slate. And so the Welsh slate quarriers quarried their slate in the top left-hand corner of Wales. Yes, do you mind? We're finished now. Stop that quarrying. All right, sorry, mate. And one of them thought, I wish.